The second thing that has also come out has been around the area of white monopoly capital, that our commitment to a non-racial society is pretty much primarily on the fact that we have been living in an environment where racism has actually influenced the economy, has influenced the politics, and both global and local monopolies in South Africa can also be characterized as white, male, very chauvinistic and conservative. And therefore we need to deal with those issues. We need to transform our own institutions in government that can help to destroy the dominance of white monopoly capital. Our supply chain, the contracts that we get involved in, the promotion of local economic development and township economies and village empowerment. Our infrastructure and government resources must help to divert and diversify so that then we do not lament the dominance of white minority in our economy, but we actually act robustly on it. We know as we move forward, and that is what has been coming out, that where we deal with the dominance of white monopoly and you bring in black participants, it is always perceived to be corrupt. And we must be in a position to explain that where there is corruption, we must act on it, but where there is a need to change, we must not shy away from doing that. In the energy sector, in the water sector, in the entire infrastructure sector. That's what is coming out in our strategy and tactics. And the role also of the financial institutions in creating space for growth in our country has come out in some of the deliberations that are going to continue the entire day here today. The third thing, it's around the respect of what constitutes the state, that there can be a dominance of one, because the state is the executive, is parliament, and it is the judiciary, that there shouldn't be a situation where there's an overreach of one against the other. So the definition of state has also come out in the deliberations around the strategy and tactics and how we define the state in terms of even issues of state of capture, that what exactly is this particular issue? Are we talking of the capturing of the state or the state of capture? And if we talk about the state of capture, where do we start? Do we actually speak about what is current, or do we talk about the realities of the last 23 years? And it is those kind of exciting things, because monopolies have found comfort prior to 1994 to date, and that has not actually been put to bear. So it is those kind of discussions where I'm chairing now that comrades are beginning to say, no, we agree. Let's look at this. If really the focus should be on the state of capture, let's look at not only what has happened today, let's look at what has happened throughout, so that then we're able to deal with transformation in a much more responsible and a broader way, and we give meaning. But if we talk about the capturing of the state, we must be able to say, is the judiciary captured? How do we also deal with the overreach of the judiciary, amongst other things, to say, can South Africa, excuse me, afford a situation where there can always be direct contact with the highest judicial institution, which is the Constitutional Court? You throw water into my yard, all I will do is to go to the Constitutional Court first. Shouldn't we make sure that we protect the decorum and the status of the Constitutional Court by first going through the other processes before you reach that level? But also, how do we protect the judiciary such that it does not find itself having to co-govern, like running an administration in the Department of Social Development, excuse me, or having to dictate or advise Parliament on how to deal with the multi-party democracy and the individual views that people have, including the swearing in of an individual against the party into Parliament.
Well, I just give you a minute or so just to cough and clear your throat. The next question. The next question I just wanted to get your opinion on is the issue of discipline and respect, also of the constitution of the ruling party and discipline amongst, all the cadres of the ANC.
In fact, it is something that has come out around cadre development. Remember, we're in this policy conference during a decade that we have put as the decade of a cadre. So we all are in this nurturing school, in this school where we have to be better people through politics, understanding the organization and so forth. What is quite important is that the diagnostic review, but also our own reflections, that there's been a high level of ill discipline even amongst leaders, including at the national level, who have opted to become more of individuals and not part of a collective. And that's what ordinary branch members of the ANC are quite critical of, that we can't forever be talking down to a branch member when we ourselves in the NEC, we leak as the NEC is sitting, one journalist or one political analyst has got the detail of the A to Z of the proceedings. It's not done in the branches. We never get leaks about what a branch has discussed, what an REC has discussed. And therefore the challenges reflect deeper challenges and serious challenges. The role of the social media and how we get taken up by being in the social media platform, forgetting that as a national leader, when you participate and you contribute in that platform, you can't retract. So it becomes quite important. So discipline is not just about behavior and saying don't sing about this leader and whatever. It is about understanding the values of the organization, the responsibility you have in the movement, and that albeit decisions can be taken against what is in your best interest, you can also and you are expected to make contributions, but once a decision has been arrived at, you must live with that decision. And I think the thick cloud on discipline in the NC of now late has actually been hovering around national leaders.
Well, I want to turn the discussion a little bit to a subject that has quite been in the spotlight over these last few days when we are here at the ANC Policy Conference. Land. Is the ANC considering a referendum on land?
No, this is a policy conference. Remember, we now have the resolutions of the last 52nd conference. So we are now in this policy conference. It will only be the national conference. And I think that those are some of the things that we need to understand. A policy conference doesn't arrive at decisions. It makes recommendations, and only a national conference will then take the decision. But yes, there's an acknowledgement that things have not gone very well in the issues of land redistribution, and that we definitely need to look at various options. There are different structures coming to the policy conference. Some are raising the issue of a referendum, others are raising the issues around no compensation, others are saying let's have a mix of everything, including that we have been doing. If it has not worked, let's perfect it. And we can only perfect it if you ensure that when you talk about land redistribution, you also talk about the mineral resources, you talk even about water rights and water use, because many of our own black landowners are not necessarily having access in terms of water use rights to the water, are still dependent to the white-owned property owners who actually are located where our catchment areas are. So the discussion on land is quite vibrant. People are saying a referendum. People are saying let's work within the confines of the law, the constitution, but let's include the resources that must make people to function and use land in a productive way. However, we've also gone beyond land for economic development, but including land ownership in the urban areas. Because the ownership of urban land creates wealth. It creates wealth because once you have a title deed, you have valued the property you own, you are able then to participate in the market in terms of borrowing, in terms of investing, in terms of contributing to improving your own quality of life. So it is those kind of things that are all coming through, and obviously as the Minister for Water, I'm saying it's time that South Africa must revisit the water use rights. If it was part of the sunset, let the sun rise in a manner where there is equality, there's fairness, and there's justice.